So way back in the last millennium, when I was a Bible college student, I had a special friend. Albert Crewman was 30 years older than I was, but we got along like peas and carrots, really enjoyed each other. And we had a number of classes together, and one of the classes we had together was freshman speech class. Some of you have endured a speech class or two. It's torture, of course. And one of the things we had to do in speech class was a persuasive speech. We had about 5 minutes to persuade everybody in the room of something. And I don't remember what mine was, so it couldn't have been very persuasive. But I remember Albert's like it was yesterday. I could just see him. Albert got up there and he looked at us and he smiled at us real nice and he said, "The Christian life is easy." And I remember thinking, Albert, you've got to be kidding. You've got a big job on your hands. It should be the slide before, Janet. Go backwards, if you could. There we go, right there. I thought, you've got a big job on your hands, my friend, because we were part of a Fighting Fundamental Baptist Bible College. We had hard classes and even harder rules. I mean, they had so many rules. You had to break several rules just to get a chance to sin. Think about that, but not too long. We didn't think there was anything easy about the Christian life, believe you me. But Albert took us to the book of Matthew, as I'm going to, and did his best to change our minds. I'm going to ask you to join me there, book of Matthew. I may not totally convince you that the Christian life is easy, but I bet I can make your Christian life a little easier this morning. So join me there. Everybody would want that. So Matthew chapter 5. It's page 686 in some of your pew Bibles. It's page 1508 in others of your pew Bibles. Those pages may not be exactly right, but 686, 1508, and there's a handout in the bulletin you can put some notes on. So the context of the passage we're headed towards is very important, very, very important. Jesus, the young teacher, the rabbi from Nazareth in Galilee, had been teaching about the kingdom of God. And besides preaching the kingdom, he was demonstrating the kingdom with his wonderful life and his wonderful words and his wonderful miracles. But a few months into his ministry, he shocked his hearers with what we call the Sermon on the Mount. It's in Matthew 5, 6, and 7. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus laid out his expectations for his devoted followers, his disciples. He revealed the lifestyle he was looking for from a kingdom citizen, his followers. And it was startling. From the beginning, it was full of contrast between the life of a child of God as understood and taught by the Pharisees and the scribes of the day, and then what Jesus said the scriptures actually meant. Again and again, he said, "You have heard that it was said, but I say to you. You have heard that it was said, but I say to you." Again and again. Jesus was not disagreeing with the Old Testament, but he was teaching it in the most penetrating, convicting, accurate, challenging way imaginable. Jesus deconstructed with this sermon the standard interpretations of the 629 or so laws that made up what we call the law of Moses. His hearers were used to hearing shallow, surface level, heartless interpretations of the scriptures. Just go through the motions, check the boxes, like some of us did as kids. Do the right things, don't do the wrong things, and you're fine. Many people thought they were okay with God because externally they were keeping those commandments. Jesus kept showing that God's actual requirements were far deeper, wider, more extensive, than anybody actually realized. Jesus mentioned the law against murder in Matthew 5:21 in the next few verses. The law against murder, and Jesus said, yeah, but if you are malicious in your heart, if you hate people, you're already guilty. Jesus mentioned the law against adultery in Matthew 5, beginning with verse 27, and he said, yeah, but if you've lusted in your heart, you're already guilty. Now, if this sounds nothing like my sermon title, well, Jesus' intention was that his hearers would all be as humbled, as convicted, as ashamed of themselves as I was when I was 18 years old. And I started reading Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John, and I got to the end of Matthew 5. Perfectionist, okay? Perfectionist, the son of a perfectionist. And I got to the end of Matthew 5, and it said, you must be perfect. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's not me. I'm not perfect. Jesus wanted his hearers to despair of the idea of ever pleasing God by way of their own works, their own lives, their own law keeping. Okay, so moving forward in Matthew a little bit, Jesus wanted all of his hearers to see themselves as being as helpless as the handicapped guy in Matthew 9, 1 through 8. I'm in chapter 9 now, just kind of paging through. As helpless as the sinful tax collector in Matthew 9, 9 through 13. As helpless as the woman with the unstoppable bleeding issue in Matthew 20 through 26, verses 20 through 26. As helpless as the two blind men in Matthew 9, 27 through 31. As helpless as the crowds in Matthew 9, 36 through 38, whom Jesus saw as being harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Typical of the thinking of Jewish people in Jesus' day was the young man, now get this, don't miss this, the young man who heard the 10 Commandments rattled off. You remember this guy? He heard them rattled off and he said, all these I have kept from my youth up. Really? You've got to be kidding. Hardly. As we get close to our text, our wonderful text, we get up to Matthew 11, so turn a page or two, Matthew 11, verse 20, where Jesus begins to harshly condemn the cities in which he had performed most of his miracles, because most of the people in those cities had not believed in him. With verse 25 of our chapter, Matthew 11, Jesus praises the Father for hiding truths that lead to salvation, forgiveness of sin, from the proud and arrogant, and revealing them to children. Yeah, children. Question for you. Why are children so often the good guys in the Gospels? You know? I mean, they are sinners, right? Any children here? Okay, a couple of you think you are. So why is that? I think it's this. When you tell children that they are sinners, they know you're right because grown-ups have been telling them that they're naughty all their lives. So, yeah, okay, they get that. And when you tell them that Jesus, the Son of God, died for them and wants to forgive them, and they just have to ask him, kids, you know, it may be at a very surfacey level, but most children will say, well, sure, of course, why not? That sounds easy, like Brian's sermon. So, and then verse 27. Verse 27 gets kind of startling. I want you to see it. Matthew 11, 27. And I tell you, I'm preaching this today for the first time. I've been thinking about it for 50 years, but wasn't ready until now because I couldn't figure out our passage in its context. And here's the really startling thing in the context. Jesus said, "All things have been committed to me by my Father." No one knows, and I think that word means knows completely, the Son except the Father. And no one completely knows the Father except the Son and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Whoa. Sounds exclusive, negative, kind of daunting, kind of off-putting, discouraging. Jesus considers it very important that we know about this exclusive relationship that he has with God the Father. There is no route to forgiveness, to salvation, except through him. And he has to want you. The door can only be opened from the inside. That's what he's saying. And then, just when we're starting to understand how hard it is to be right with God, to be forgiven, to gain God's favor, to enter the Christian life, he blows our minds with our text, which this time I'm going to ask you to read it out loud with me. And this time it's the King James Bible. I have method in my madness for doing that this morning. Will you read it with me? "Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." So, next slide. In the rest of this sermon, I'm going to talk to you about entering the Christian life. I'm saying entering the Christian life is easy from just verse 28. And then in the Sunday school class, we'll start a few minutes after the service ends, probably right up here. Then we'll be looking at verses 29 and 30, and I'll be trying to convince you that living the Christian life is easy. Tall order, right? The contrast between these verses we just read and the ones just before it is about as striking as it could be. It's almost as if Jesus is saying in our passage, you can't know God apart from me. My choice of you is all important. Only the chosen few can come to me and find rest, life, forgiveness, favor, salvation, heaven. And guess what? You're all chosen. Come on in. Next slide. Thank you. You get it? I mean, you get it, but you don't get it because it's shocking. It's startling. I mean, it's really startling. This blows our minds. And it was supposed to blow our minds. How could this be? How could he make such an offer? It's as if he's saying, don't worry about that election stuff. Just come. The door's open. How could he do this? Okay, so we're going to start at the beginning just real briefly. But if we start at the beginning, we have God, right? Just God. In the beginning, God. And he's holy. He cannot and will not tolerate sin. His natural reaction to it, God's allergic to reaction to sin, is called his wrath. To say that God hates sin the way the most extreme perfectionist you know hates messes or dirt is putting it mildly. In the garden, when God made Adam and Eve, he said, now you can eat of the fruit of any of these trees in the garden except for the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? He said, in the day that you eat that, you will, what? You will die. And of course, God looked the other way. The devil showed up, tempted them. They immediately ate the fruit. They immediately, instinctively knew what evil was because it was in them. They knew that they should hide. They believed that God was going to come and kill them because he should. Isaiah 59:2 puts it like this. It says, but your iniquities have separated you from your God. Your sins have hidden his face from you so that he will not hear. They knew it. And of course, God could have said, pardon my French, again, no children. God could have said, go to hell, and then just zap them from a nice distance. And instead, what did he do? What did he do? He came looking for them in the garden. He came looking for them, and that was pure grace. Some people think the grace is all in the New Testament. It's not in the Old Testament. Wrong. So how is it that God, who is holy, could or would ever track us down and say, come? How could he do that? Why would he do that? Got to talk about my mom for a moment. My mother was a perfectionist, and my brother and sister and I didn't know the Bible real well, but we knew it well enough to tease her about her living room being the Holy of Holies. That's what we called it. It was the holy. It was only for grown-ups with clean clothes on. That was it, okay? So the last couple years of high school, I worked on cars a lot. And can you imagine if I'd been working on my grimy old Volkswagen out in the garage, and then I came in the house and I came in the living room and gave my mother a nice hug? I mean, you didn't give my mother hugs anyway. We were Norwegian Lutherans from Wisconsin, but anyway. So how is it that a holy God could come down here and say, come to defiled sinners? He could not have done that ever, and he could not do that today, except for the fact that God's Son, the one we're being amazed by here this morning, took the punishment, he experienced the banishment, he absorbed the wrath that we deserved. He took our filthy clothes on himself and clothed us in the righteousness of Christ. And so God can say, come. God can say, come to us, because the Father turned his back on his son as he hung on the cross, asking, my God, why have you forsaken me? The Father forsook him so he could say, come to us. The come to me of our passage is actually not the exception. It wasn't Jesus being nice while his mean old father was looking the other way. The come to me of our passage is actually part of a line, a series of invitations to sinners to come. I want to show you a few examples. So from Exodus, first of all, God is going to come down on top of the mountain, and it's going to be scary, and it's going to be pyrotechnics. And amazingly enough, God says to Moses, be ready in the morning and come up. Come to me. Whew. And he did. Here's another one from Isaiah. Come, all you who are thirsty, come to the waters. And you who have no money, come buy and eat. Come, buy wine and milk without money, without cost. Seek the Lord while he may be found, and call on him while he is near. And then here's another one from Matthew 19. Jesus said, let the little children come to me. Don't hinder them. Here's another one from Matthew 19. Jesus answered, if you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you'll have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me, he says to this guy. John 5, now he's kind of rebuking here, but he's still inviting. He says, you diligently study the scriptures because you think that by them you possess eternal life. These are the scriptures that testify about me, yet you refuse to come to me to have life. And he was still inviting them. And then finally, in Revelation 22, the Spirit and the bride say, come, and let him who hears say, come, and whoever is thirsty, let him come, and whoever wishes, Let him take the free gift of the water of life. Come. Come. Now, please notice with me who is being invited. Don't miss this. So, here we go. Who's being invited? Those who labor in the King James Bible. Other translations say those who are weary. All those whose work is hard. Those who are heavy laden. Other translations, those who are burdened. Those whose load is heavy. And what does he promise? I will give you, what? We sang about it. But you don't have to wait till heaven. You can get it now. Who's he talking to? Well, first of all, without a doubt, he's talking to Jewish people who were trying to earn God's favor by keeping the law. The law was never intended to give the Jewish people a system for earning salvation, like the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts or the Awanas or whatever, where you do the stuff and you get the badges. No. It was intended to give the Jewish people a good goal to shoot for, give them a lifestyle that honored God in the midst of an ungodly world, and especially the law was given to show the Jewish people their need of salvation, as we have seen. And then along with all of those laws, he gave them the sacrificial system, all those sacrifices, to keep showing them the wages of sin is death. The wages of sin is death. And to show them that a substitute could actually die in their place. But by telling people that they could obey it, that they could nail it, the Jewish teachers of Jesus' day were doing something awful. They were giving people something burdensome. And then they took the law and they encumbered it with a zillion more laws. They enhanced it, they supersized it, and made it doubly impossible. And since nobody really did obey it, most of the Jewish people, not all, most of the Jewish people of Jesus' day never saw the cross. They never had assurance. They never had relief. They never had rest. And Jesus was saying to them all, come to me and find rest. Come. Who else is Jesus talking to? Besides Jewish people trying to earn God's favor by keeping the law, Jesus was certainly also speaking to weary, burdened people the world over who know that they're sinners. They know that they're not good enough. They're trying to make it with God by being better, by being religious. People all over the world, people in warped versions of Christianity, people in Islam, people in many false religions who are laboring, they're trying, they're torturing themselves, they are denying to themselves, they're giving their money, they're giving their time, they're praying with beads and statues and fasting and masses and candles and pilgrimages. And Jesus is saying to all who realize they are sinners and can't save themselves, Jesus says, come to me. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Won't work. Come to me. And then finally, who else is Jesus talking to? I believe he was talking to weary, burdened people all over the world, suffering people, miserable people from all over the world, because he just cares. Look at Psalm 145, 9 and 17 on the screen. I got to find them if I can. Here we go. The Lord is good to all, the psalmist said. He has compassion on all he has made. The Lord is righteous in all his ways and loving toward all he has made. And we already saw from Matthew 9, Jesus cared about the homely, dirty crowds, the masses, whom he saw as harassed and helpless. We know that Jesus performed many miracles to demonstrate to people that he was the Son of God so they would believe in him and be saved. But we also know that he performed some miracles simply because he was somewhere on the street and there was somebody in front of him who was just suffering, and he just did it because he cared. That simple. He had compassion on them. Now, realizing our neediness, of course, doesn't save us. It's not the same thing as recognizing our guilt, but, many times our felt needs can lead us to see our biggest need, which is salvation, right? So those felt needs are good. It's good that we know that there's something wrong with us. And Jesus cares about those who are weary and burdened with shame, bitterness, resentment, hurt, pain, perfectionism, an insatiable need for acceptance, an insatiable desire for acquisition, more stuff and more stuff. The gal in the picture, so I'm told she actually was on her way home from Walmart. And she was going to her storage unit because she had more stuff than fit in her apartment, so she's just got to store it away. You don't believe me, do you? Okay, well, anyway. All right, shame on you for not believing me. But we know there's something wrong with us. We know there's something wrong with the world. We know there's something wrong with life, and we're right. So we try to be religious enough, perfect enough, cool enough, rich enough, accomplished enough, loved enough, full enough, fed enough, drunk enough, high enough, funny enough, sexy enough, strong enough, tall enough, thin enough, beautiful enough, handsome enough, fast enough. Enough is enough. But it isn't. It isn't if you're stuck in that. Coming to Jesus, we can stop and we can rest. I'm saying entering the Christian life is easy. Think about the famous woman at the well. Maybe you don't know about her, maybe you do, but she was a woman who was looking for a man to truly love her. And she looked and she looked and she looked, and she found Jesus, and there was nothing untoward there. But she saw Jesus and she found a man, the God-man, who would truly love her. And she was so excited, she didn't exactly rest. She ran around telling everybody. Think about the thief dying next to Jesus on his own cross, who realizes who Jesus is. He can't do anything to clean up his act. He can't do anything to earn God's favor. And he just says to Jesus, Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus says, today you'll be with me in paradise. Entering the Christian life is easy. What makes it hard, of course, is our pride. That's the problem. And our spiritual deception, our blindness. But when God enables you to see that Jesus got what you deserved, that you have a debt that you cannot pay, a set of rules you cannot keep, a holy person you cannot please, but Jesus died for you, and you hear Jesus say, come to me, then it's easy. Then it's time to believe in Jesus, not a historical figure, but a believe in the sense of casting yourself upon his mercy, entrusting the saving of your soul to him. The way you would call a clinic when you need help. The way you would scream to the lifeguard if you can't swim and you're drowning. So he's here. He is here. He's here. And he's saying, come to me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. If you've done that, take a minute to thank him. And if you haven't done that, what a perfect time to do it right now. So I'm going to give you a minute to pray on your own, and then we're going to sing Beautiful song. So let's pray our own prayers.